I've hired over 2,000 remote team members from over 40 different countries, and I'm gonna show you the step-by-step process we use to guarantee we don't just hire someone, we hire a savage. We've perfected this process through thousands of successful placements and millions in managed payroll, and the results speak for themselves. If you're tired of rolling the dice on Fiverr or Upwork, or even interviewing the wrong people for countless of hours, then this system will change everything for you. Let's dive in. Before you even think about making a job posting, you need to get clear on these three things. Number one, the role and the outcome. What is the exact role you're looking for, and what is the outcome that's needed from this role? So many business owners think they need a salesperson, but in reality, they're lacking leads. And a salesperson is not gonna come in and generate those leads. They need a lead generator, an appointment setter, or a cold caller, or investing that money into marketing. So, number one, identify the role and the outcome that you're looking for. Be crystal clear about the outline of the role, including the day-to-day, the KPIs, and once again, the ideal outcome. Number two, the non-negotiables. On every single Remote Latinos job description, at the very end, we have our non-negotiable section. And there's about 15 to 20 things that are absolute non-negotiables. For example, someone who's not coachable cannot work with us. Another example is someone who doesn't speak fluent English also cannot work with us. And last example is someone that comes in with zero experience in the field for a specific position we might not accept. For example, video editor. I don't want to train someone for video editing. However, I would train someone for salespeople depending on the level that we're at. But for video editing, they need to come in with experience. Now, we might help them in the future. We might help them with a client. If a client has different non-negotiables than us, which a lot of them do, then that's totally okay. So what are your non-negotiables? And are they truly your non-negotiables? And number three, what is your culture? What is the mission of the company? What is the vision of the company? What are your core values? I put all this into one category because you need to know what is your company all about. And sometimes it's hard, especially if you're a solopreneur or maybe you have one or two workers, but you gotta think if you're continuously growing and scaling and you eventually have 10 or 20 people, what are the core values that people are showing up towards every single day? What's the mission and vision that's aligning people on a regular basis? Believe it or not, if your mission and vision is powerful and it hits with the right person, they will be with you through the hard times. If your mission and vision don't motivate or inspire your team, you're gonna have a hard time keeping your team members when things don't go well. So once again, what is the culture of your company? Here's what most founders do wrong. They jump straight into interviews. They'll look at someone's resume, they might see a personality test, and then they'll jump into an interview. That could not be further from what needs to actually happen. If you wanna interview the right people, they must go through a set process. Just like many of your clients interviewed or have interviewed in the past other companies in your industry. So if your prospects are doing that, how come you're not doing that within your own business? Because you want to make sure you hire the right person. So if you're just jumping straight into interviews without hardcore qualifying anybody, that's like getting married without dating anybody, which sounds insane. And that is exactly what's happening here. You need to build a filtering funnel that helps you get on interviews with the right people consistently. Here's how we do it at Remote Latinos. Number one, we don't ask fluff questions. We ask questions that show thinking, initiative, and clarity. For example, what was the last process you improved at work? Or tell me about a time you took initiative without being asked. These are the sets of questions that truly help you understand the type of person you're hiring and how their mind is operating. Next, we have every single person submit 2 videos, not one, but 2. One is an introduction video, which is usually between 60 to 180 seconds, talking about themselves, their experience, their skill, why they're a good fit. And then we have them answer on a separate video 10 questions, and they don't know what the questions are. So we have 10 questions that pertain to their job, and they have 1 minute to answer that, and they have 1 shot to answer these questions. If they don't answer it or something goes wrong, we move on to the next question. So this is almost like a pre-interview interview. It helps a lot. We also ask questions that show their thinking, initiative, and clarity on the position, the role, and the company. And lastly, every single candidate goes through a skill and a personality test. The skill test has to do with the last 30 days of the position they're going towards. It's not a random skill test that has nothing to do with their job. So we look at the last 30 days of the role they're going towards, and we look at the KPIs or the tasks that need to be done. We actually create a skill test around that and hand it over and give them 1 day to finish it. Normally the skill test will take between 30 minutes to an hour. And then the personality test, we like to use DISC assessment, but many of our clients prefer 16 personalities or many others. Whatever it is, we like to get some of their personality knowledge. However, out of all the things I mentioned right now, the personality test is the one I take least into heart because they might BS a lot of the personality just to showcase their professionality, versus the skill test will actually show me how they operate and how they do certain things. So the skill test is much more relevant if you were gonna do one of the two, but I do recommend doing both. So this is where most people finally start to pay attention. And if you follow the previous parts, you're already ahead of most business owners who are hiring in general, especially hiring offshore talent. But now is the fun part. Now it's the interview part. We like to do our interviews in two parts. Part one is a cultural interview. We ask them specific questions about the culture, about the core values, the mission, vision, and really making sure we align with this person outside of their skill set, because the next interview is more about their skill set. So here's an example. When we hire a salesperson, we want to make sure that this person is coachable. We want to make sure that this person's hungry and they want to grow and they want to achieve a lot of big things and they are the right fit for us as a cultural unit, because one of our core values is mastery beyond excellence. So I need people that are coachable, but also they're learning outside of the job. When it's after hours or during the weekend, they're learning. So the first interview with the closer will be about the culture, but the second one, we would do a role play with them. And we give them a preparation in terms of the script. And I actually like to do the second interview in two parts as well, where they pitch me on their service, whatever they just sold before. And then the second one is they pitch me on our service and how we do it. And now this has been a game changer because both interviews with our company are done with separate people. However, if you're one person, I would recommend doing the interview at different times because you get to see how the person shows up at different times throughout the day. So do one interview in the morning, and maybe 2 or 3 days later, do the second interview later in the afternoon. Once you've gone through the interview process, and the best part is if you vet people properly, like what I mentioned earlier, you really just need to interview a few people. I would say maybe 3, maximum 4. We never have to interview more than 5 people to find the right person. Have we before? For sure, but the majority of time we don't have to because of our vetting process. So now the fun part is once you've interviewed, you've got through the vetting process, you're now ready to actually bring someone on board. And this is where the onboarding kicks in. And I've mentioned this in another video, but we do 2 onboardings. One onboarding is specifically for the business, and the other one is specifically for the role. We actually do 2 parts onboarding during the hour and a half, 2 hours that we have for that specific call, which is again, the onboarding call. And then shadowing begins, right? So we assign this person to shadow whoever is their leader or a colleague that's in their position to actually learn from them. And one of my favorite parts about this, because normally this happens with one of our other team members, is whenever someone gets shadowed, that person that's mentoring and showing actually is leveling up their skills, because when you teach, you grow. When you teach, you level up. When you teach, you're holding yourself at a higher standard and you're holding yourself more accountable. This has been a really game changer for us, because I remember when I was a closer, I was closing deals. But what took me to the next level as a closer is when I started teaching sales, whether it was to the sales team I was a part of or someone hired me to teach sales for their team. That's when I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm much better at sales than I was before. So remember this, you don't rise to the levels of your ambitions, you fall to the levels of your systems. And by the way, guys, this is for your entire business, your front end, your back end, and anything in between. Right now, we're talking about recruiting. However, this can also be applied for your front end systems and your sales systems or your client fulfillment systems or anything that's in between. So if you're tired of hiring mediocre talent, you're tired of consistently having to micromanage people and have to rotate people every other month, then it's clearly time to hire A players from start. And I learned this from Layla Hermosi. She said, you know who your A players are from the second they begin working with you. And I find that fascinating because many of you guys have never tasted what an A player is like, and you've been so used to working with B players that that's your new standard. So if you're looking to hire A players, specifically people who can come into your business and make a difference from day one, and actually people that you can delegate work to, that can own the position, own the role, and help you grow and scale while also saving money for your business, then head over to RemoteLatinos.com. Let's see what you're looking to hire, whether it's a sales closer, appointment setter, video editor, graphic designer. We hire for many different positions, and we want to help you do the same. So again, head over to RemoteLatinos.com. And if you enjoyed this video or you learned something, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.